that essentially when we pray, we ascend from level to level. We climb up the spiritual ladder, so to speak, and when we reach the pinnacle of prayer, which is Shmona Esrei, we have reached the top of our ascent, and then we come back down. We descend again level by level, coming back to where we started, which is corresponding to this physical world. So what I want to do is get into more detail about this ascent and descent and apply it specifically to the morning prayers. The main place where we see spoken about in the writings of Kabbalah, how this order of prayer fits in exactly is in Shachris, because Shachris is a lengthy prayer and they've divided each section corresponds to a particular spiritual realm. So let's start with, first of all, an overview. We know that there are 4 spiritual worlds that is talked about in Kabbalah, and many different books discuss it. You can find it available in English. The Hasidic books also talk about it openly, so it's no longer information reserved to people that are only involved in Kabbalah, but it's discussed in all different Jewish philosophy as well, and all the different types of Jewish books written discuss it. So we'll mention them in short. The 4 worlds are starting from below and working our way up, since that is in fact the way prayer works. It starts with the world of Asiya, which means action. Then the next world is Yetzirah, which means formation. Then we come to the world of Biriyah, which means creation. And then Atzilut is the final world where we reach, which means emanation. And after that we come back down again from Atzilut to Biriyah, creation. From creation to Yetzirah, formation, and then from the world of formation back to the world of Asiya, which means action. And that's the spiritual journey of prayer. Specifically so, one could look to try to indicate where these transitions are in prayer in a general sense. It's not an absolute case, we'll explain why. Wherever you see a Kaddish, there's usually a shift, because from changing from world to world is a very serious thing, and the Kaddish is there to help facilitate that trend, that shift from world to world. So, for example, in the very beginning of our prayers, we begin, self-understood, we begin obviously on the lowest level, which is in this physical world of Asiya. Now, the world of Asiya, the world of action, has levels. And within this physical world, there are also spiritual levels above us, which are still considered to be part of one world. And these are called the spiritual realms of Asiya. So we start at the bottom, and through the beginning of prayer, which is the blessings, and then the korbanot, where we read the different verses talking about the sacrifices and the ketoret, the incense offerings, all the different service in the Beis HaMikdash that we read about in the very beginning of our prayers, all that corresponds to the first level, the world of Asiya. We've concluded this first section of prayer, as we started saying, that corresponds to the world of Asiya, the world of action, the lowest world, with a baraisa from Rabbi Yishmael talking about the 13 principles that we expound the Torah, and then for many nuschaot, the Sephardic one will be the base that we use, because the Arizal himself taught the spiritual depth using the Sephardic nusach as a base, and the Sephardim, I'm sorry, that's the nusach of the Sephardim. Now the Hasidim also, when they began their movement, so the Hasidic leaders understood that the correct way to pray according to Kabbalah, which would be according to the Arizal, would fit better using the Sephardic way of davening. So they took, in general, the Sephardic nusach, the Sephardic prayer order, and they adapted it to what was the way that they prayed in Ashkenaz lands, with some different nuances. But essentially, the nusach of Sfard, which is the nusach for Hasidim, is patterned to be like Sephardic, which essentially is the real purpose for it is in order to correspond more precisely to the instructions of the Arizal, who is the person who is the source of all this information of how to properly pray according to the mystical components of prayer. So the Hasidic and the Sephardic have a setup of prayer that follows this order exactly, and the Ashkenazim have a similar approach, also based on Kabbalah, but no one has explained the precise mechanism of the Ashkenaz prayer that it should fit according to the Kabbalah of the Arizal. So we'll use the Sfard and Sephardic nusach as a base right now, and with slight alterations. For anyone with Avos Ashkenaz, the same principles apply, but it won't be exact. So at the end of these first set of prayers, after we say the Baraisa, which is basically a Tanaic statement teaching about the 13 principles that the Torah has expounded, we then conclude with a Kaddish. As we said in the beginning, this Kaddish is representative of a transition from different worlds. And this is what we could say the beginning of the transition from the first world of Asiya, the spiritual realms of Asiya, to the world of Yetzirah, the world of formation. This transition is concluded with the Baruch Sha'amar prayer, and at the end of that prayer, we're fully and completely in the next world. And all of the Psukei de Zimmer, which are verses of praise, really a collection of different psalms from King David. You know, in the other prayers, you have Vayevarech David also is from King David. And until the final blessing of Yishtabach, when we say the blessing of Yishtabach, so that is the conclusion of the second part, which is the world of Yetzirah. And again, we say a Kaddish, and that Kaddish helps us shift from the second world to the third world. And when we say Kaddish and Baruch Hu. So once we've said Kaddish and Baruch Hu, we are officially in this third level of prayer, corresponding to the world of Bria, creation, and all of the blessings of Shema, and Shema itself, and of course the blessings after Shema, all of that correspond to this third world of creation. At the end of the blessings of Shema, when we say Ga'al Yisrael, that God redeemed Israel, here it's a reference to the redemption from Egypt. So there's no Kaddish said. It's explained again by the Arizal that since on this high level that we are, the transition from Beria, creation, to Atzilut, the world of emanation, can take place without a Kaddish, because we're already so high and so far removed from the negativity of the lower worlds. So this last transition does not need a Kaddish, and we go straight from Bria into Atzilut just by connecting the word Ga'al Yisrael and the first words of Shmona Esrei, which are Hashem Sefatai Tiftach Ufi Yagid Tilatecha. This is itself a verse, which is like a preface to Shmona Esrei, and that verse helps us to come into this highest of places, which is Atzilut. And all of the Shmona Esrei prayer is said, of course, in this highest of realms, and it is the most powerful and the highest spiritual place that we can reach through our prayers.